Hey, my name is Mr. Science 178, aka Mr. Scatter Echo, coming to you from the BX Bronx. Welcome to Next Level Science. Today we'll be taking on the role of an engineer, and to really understand that, let's take a look at our leader of the week. As Bronx engineers, we'll be just like Macy Jemison. She was a NASA engineer that challenged stereotypes and was the first woman of color to go to space. Pretty amazing, right? She also reminded us not to make assumptions about the skills you need to become an astronaut or be good at math or science. She actually has a background in dance, but decided to pursue her dreams of going to space, showing us how art and science can be connected. In science, we are always looking at phenomena are really important and observable events, like the northern lights or rainbows. Today we'll have a design challenge for our real-world phenomena for this week. To design a Rube Goldberg machine with the property of precision. But Mr. Science 178, what do you mean by that? Well, let's take a look and break it down. To design is to plan or sketch an idea for a purpose. What about properties? Properties are the characteristics of a trait or material. For example, we know paper absorbs water. That's why we use paper towels to clean up messes. As Bronx engineers, we know we're always incredibly precise. Just like when you break out your latest TikTok moves, like the dancers in this GIF over here. Could you be the one to call when I lose control? To look that clean or smooth, they have to be pinpoint accurate or precise. Alright, so to get the property we want, we'll also have to understand forces. Now these are those pushes or pulls on an object, just like in our favorite Avengers movies, where the Hulk throws a car at Iron Man. Now I know you've been thinking this whole time, what in the world is a Rube Goldberg machine? It's an invention or device that is engineered or designed to perform a simple task, just like this one. Before we do though, let's check out if you've been paying attention. Why is it so important to think about the properties of materials when designing? A. You have to choose the material with the right trait to solve your design problem. B. Properties of materials don't matter. Fortnite rocks. JK, please help me. Or C. It's only important to think about the property of precision when designing so it works. I'll give you some time to think about that and think of the best answer, right? So read very carefully. If you chose A, you're on fire, Bronx engineer. And if you didn't, no worries. It's just to help us see what we know or don't know. And I know you're strong enough to persevere and brush it off. Alright, so we're going to be using design thinking. The same process your favorite shoe designers use. Just like the man responsible for designing the LeBron 17s. I think I'm going to use a marble or a small ball and a cup and find a way to launch this ball into this cup. Now remember, your machine does not have to be the same as mine. In fact, it's way cooler when you come up with your own inventions. You'll need to start gathering some materials for this experiment. Today, I'll be using an empty paper towel, an empty water bottle, a cup or a mug, small marble or a ball, some tape, and a pair of scissors. Now remember, scissors, be extra careful and complete with an adult. Second, we'll prototype or make a sketched out draft design. Here I'm using an iPad an Apple Pencil, and an app called Procreate that graphic designers and artists use. You can use paper if you want to, or test out Tinkercad.com if you want to try to make a 3D rendering. Now remember what Macy Jemison taught us, art can be connected to science. So let's take a look. Bronx engineers might test out dozens of different ideas before they find the perfect one. After you draw your prototype, we can get started building. Third, we'll be testing our prototypes and see if our device works or if it doesn't. Then we can debug or figure out and look for our problem, just like we do in computer science. Speaking of which, we have a special guest today, Dash the Robot, to help us with our Rube Goldberg machine. Now, we can also be software engineers too, and code and design programs to the next level by using technology to automate our machine. So let's take a look at how we could build a Rube Goldberg machine. Alright, so if we look over here, right, we took our empty paper towel and we cut it in half, right, to make our tunnel. Now remember, when you're using scissors, be extra careful. Right, so you want to make sure when you are creating your Rube Goldberg machine, remember you could get as creative as you want. You don't have to do it like this. Right, you think about the angles. What would happen if the tunnel was at this angle to the marble when it rolls, or the small ball? What would happen if it was at that angle, and so forth. Right, and we need a way to stick it on, right? So we need a material that has the property of stickiness, right? So we're going to choose electrician's tape, but you could use whatever kind of tape you want, right? And we just attached it to whatever surface we had, and it'll probably need a little bit more tape than that, but just as an example so you can see, right? And then afterwards we took our water bottle and we cut that. Remember, again, be very careful. So let's see if we designed our Rube Goldberg machine precisely. Remember our property of precision we're looking for. All right, let's test it out. Oop. All right, so it didn't work, but that's okay. Cool part about science is we can make a hypothesis or predictions, and we don't have to be right. But as Bronx engineers, if we're wrong, we want to find out why. Alright, so it didn't work out, but let's persevere and see if we can debug this problem just like in computer science. So I remember I saw, right, when the ball moved out, it kept going to the left when I wanted it to go to the right over here. Right, so I thought to myself, how could we fix this problem? And I came up with an idea and had to change my prototype, which happens when you're designing sometimes. Right, so I came up with this device. Right, so all I did was I took my extra piece of paper towel roll and I cut a little section off, right? Because remember, engineers always make designs for a reason or purpose, right? So I noticed that it kept falling over to the left side. So I figured maybe if I put this here, it would be able to block it. Let's see if it's successful. Hey, we got it. Awesome job, Bronx engineers. I knew you could crush this design challenge. Join us next time on Next Level Science with Mr. Science 178.